Hi everyone, hi and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer and I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. So thanks for taking the time to watch, whether you're watching live or watching the recording or watching this on YouTube. So I hope some of the stamping tips that I'm sharing today and the card I'm making will inspire you and help you with your stamping and paper crafting as well. So today I'm going to be making a card that uses the two-tone Flora stamp set and the coordinating dies, which is a bundle, and other things from the fancy Flora suite as well. So there's another stamp set and die set that works with that too. But predominantly the main thing I'm featuring is the two-tone Flora bundle. And I'm going to show you how to do some two-step stamping. So that involves, two processes with stamping. And also how you can use one ink pad to kind of get two colors or two shades of color. So you don't need two separate ink pads. You can just use the one. And here we go. So this is the card that I'm making today. I'll show you the stamp set that we're using. And this is it here. So it's the two-tone Flora. So you can see from the stamp set that we've got like the detailed image and then the color in the background. And there's a variety of stamps and sizes, obviously large, sort of medium, small, and then a different shape one, and some leaves and other flowers as well. So what I'm going to use today is these two flowers here, which is this, so it's the same one twice in different colors. And then I've used the leaves, this one here and this as well. So there are dies that go with these. So for example, we've got this to cut out this, and the flower, and then the little leaves. Whoops, we've got dimensionals as well. So to cut out those. And there are more dies to cut out other things as well. So the tip with this is, I don't know if you can see the die, there's kind of a V there. So that kind of fits, it's actually more that one because it's the fuller shape. But it goes in that V shape. So that'll be combined together to make one stamp. And then I've just put a stamp inside. And I could mask it and add leaves as well, but I've just kept it simple for now. So we've got an embossed background there. That's the cane weave embossing folder. But I thought for my other card, I'll try a different embossing folder. So I have used, I don't know how well you can see the pattern. This is a slightly more subtle embossing folder, and this is the time-worn type 3D embossing folder. Okay, to do the embossing on these, obviously it's a normal size, so I've had to use the standard cut and emboss machine, but for these other ones I've used the mini because they can easily go through into that. All right, so let's do our stamping and things first. I will just show you what colors I've used. So I've used Highland Heather for one flower, and I've used Daffodil Delight for my other flower, and then I have used Old Olive for the green. And I wanted to add some ribbon, and so I had this, which was Orchid Oasis, so I've added that as well. So they're the two colors that I've got in the background, and then I've stamped that in the Orchid Oasis as well, so then it kind of ties together. So they're the four colors that I've used today. Right, so let's get stamping, and some tips for when we are stamping those flowers and things. All right, so I've got some scrap paper, and they are photopolymer, so I am going to use my piercing mat. So that helps just make it a little bit spongier and helps the ink go in. So I'm going to, what I like to do myself is I like to stamp the detailed one first and then go over with this. And I will show you why. So let's start with Highland Heather. And I'll do it the way I like to do it. And then I'll show you the opposite and how much harder it is. So we're going to stamp that first. So that is normal Highland Heather colour. Then I'm going to come in with some scrap paper. here, and I'm going to stamp it, but then I'm going to do what we call stamp off. So I'm going to stamp it on a scrap piece of paper. So that's going to take quite a lot of colour. And can you see that dot there? That means there's something on it, and I can just see something there. So I'm going to clean that and do that again. And we'll try again because we don't want a big hole in it. So again, we'll ink it up and we'll stamp off. Yay, no hole. And then with the ink that is left, we're using a lighter colour and we're going to stamp over the top. So I'm kind of looking for my mark there, and that V shape is up there and covering it all over. I don't know how well you can see that. And that is now a lighter purple over the top. So that's kind of two purples, but it's with one ink pad, Highland Heather. Okay, now I'll show you what happens if you do it the other way. I'll do it with the, I'm not sure if I want to do it with the yellow because it's going to be quite hard. So let me see, I'll just find a scrap piece of, that's not a scrap piece. I'll just do it next to it, but you can see the difference. If I do this one first, so the solid one, and I stamp off, and I do this, and then I try and come over with this. It's so busy. I'll try and hold it up a bit. It's hard to know where to place it. Can you see what I mean? It's like, I don't quite know where to go. It's just very busy. So I just prefer to do it the other way. Okay, so doing the outline first and then, do the solid one first, which is, let me get it right. The detailed one first, and then the solid one but stamped off. Okay, so that is in the purple. Now I'm going to clean them. If you're wondering what I use to clean my stamps, I like to use the stamping scrub. So it's two things there. I'm going to stamp, sometimes I use the chamois quickly, but then to give them a good clean, I'll use this. So this is Stamping Mist. So that cleans them and conditions them. And I'm changing colours, so I definitely want to clean them. So this side to wash them. And I've put a little bit of blue in the corner for water wash. It does have a little raindrops, but it's hard to see. And then yellow is for drying it afterwards. And we'll do the same with our other one. So when I joined stamping up, I'd done stamping and things before, and I never quite knew the best way to clean them. That was one of the first things I got. So it's really good for cleaning stamps. Okay, so then we're going to use our yellow. So we'll do that on another piece. And I'm going to do my detailed first again. So like so. Then what are we going to do? We're going to remember to stamp off. So just stamp on a scrap piece of paper, take a lot of the colour off, then it becomes lighter, lining up that one and that one up there, and stamp. And then we've got kind of our two-toned flower. Then we're going to use Old Olive. And we're going to stamp our leaves. So we're going to do one like that and one of those. Not too close, because if we want to stamp them at the same time, we don't want the dies kind of being too close together. Now I'm supposed to do leaves for that too. So what I'm going to do, we're going to be economical here, is I'm going to cut that off, turn it over, and use the other side, because no one's going to know when it's stuck down. So there's those ones and these ones. All right, let me move all my stamps out the way. And while we're stamping, we will stamp our sentiment too. So on a narrow strip, which are kind of offcuts from when I was cutting up the card, I'm going to use Orchid Oasis and the Happy Birthday, and I'll show you what set that's from shortly. I have used this quite a bit in other, it's a little bit lighter on that side. Let's just try again. That's better. Okay, I could turn it over, of course. All right, I'm going to close my ink pads so I don't accidentally put the, my card in it. So to close them, I just pull and flip and just make sure they're closed properly. We will have to do the inside, but that's all right. We'll do that later. Okay, so the second set I used was so that this is just, it's part of the suite, the Fancy Flora suite, and it's a whole lot of sentiments and things. I like this one. I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. So a great one to use if you are a little bit late in sending a card. But these happy birthday congratulations are some nice small ones. And part of that set is a die set, which is lots of kind of shapes and things for borders. And then we're going to cut this out here. All right, so let's move these out the way and I'll get to my cutting machine. So I'm going to use my mini one. I won't cut them all out now. I'll just cut some to show you. I've prepared some earlier. So just a tip when you're using the mini machine, if you put all your plates in and line them up like that, all level, it's actually really hard to get through. So you want to make what's called an E. So the bottom one sticks out, the middle one's back a bit, and then the top one is lined up again. So if you kind of have a look through, the middle plate is a little bit further back, and that just helps it grip and go through. So if you want to know what plates to use, it's all here for die cutting. We need a 1, a 2, then your die, and then a 2 on the top. So this is a 2 here. Okay, so we're going to put those down, but we're going to remember to move our second plate back a bit, and then we're going to cut these out. Now, they do move a bit sometimes, so I have got some removable tape, which helps keep it in position, and I don't know if you can tell, it's a bit worn. You can use it quite a few times. All right, so remember that V I said, so I'm just going to move in a bit so it's not so floppy. Line it up and then kind of hold it in place with that tape. No, I think I need to move it down a bit. It might be not perfect because every time you do the 2 layers it might not be exact, but it's easier than fussy cutting. And then we're going to put the leaf one there and this one here. Oh, I think my flower one's moved again. We'll have another look at that. That looks pretty good. I can see too much white up the top, so we're going to move it down a little bit, about there. Okay, so make sure that second plate is back. Put the other 2 on top, lining up with the bottom plate. Let it grip. Whoops, we're moving my background here. And wind it through. It's not on the table, it's on a, so it's sliding a little bit because I've got something on top of the table. Whoops. Okay. So let's have a look. Let's pull those off and have a look. That there will be a slight, what do you call it, white border around it, but that's all good. That and this one too. There we go. And then we would do it again with these, but for the sake of time, I have some prepared. And then we would also put this one through as well. I tend to put it through that way because then it's a narrower part going through the machine first rather than a wider thing, which is, it's fine, it's not too hard, but it's just better with the narrow. Okay, so we've got our yellow and green, so let's find another set with the purple one I prepared earlier and also a little leaf. So they're the things that we need to put on our card. Okay, putting our card together. So we've got Orchid Oasis card base. Then, so that's just a standard 21 centimeters wide by 14.85, which is exactly half an A4 and scored at 10.5. My next layer is 10 centimeters by 14.3. And then I've got my embossed piece, which I've done already using the standard machine, and that is 9.5 by 13.8. Okay, now we're going to stick these 2 layers together and then we're going to put on our ribbon. You may have seen in my cards, I do like to include embellishments and ribbon. So that's quite common. I do find it hard to make really simple cards. But then saying that, for coffee and cards, I kind of need to make simple cards. So make sure you know which way the words are up. Okay, so the ribbon I'm using is the Orchid Oasis metallic woven ribbon, and I am going to use some tape to hold it down. So I have one piece go across, and then I do the bow separately rather than trying to meet it in the middle and all that kind of thing. So we need to leave room at the bottom for our sentiment. Add some tape. So I've just used tear-in tape, and I'm going to pull that off. And we're just going to put a piece that goes from there and across like so. Use my ribbon scissors, which are marked with the red. There we go. And then tie our bow. So I don't want a too big a bow. We'll just kind of estimate how long. And might as well tie it now, then it's done. So once your ribbon is on your card, then you can put it onto your card front, and then we can add all our stamping. All right, there we go. We'll play with that a bit more later. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this. Now you might like seal, or you might not like glue. All right, so I don't know if you can tell from this card or not, but if you look at this angle, the leaves are kind of flat down, and then these flowers are put on with dimensional, so they're lifted up. And I actually put them on first, and then I kind of tucked the leaves in. So I'm going to get some large dimensionals. Just remember, you don't want them to go too close to the edge, so you can tuck the other things in. I'm trying to pick this up. Okay, so I'll put a couple of dimensionals more in the center. 1, 2, and work out where you want them. So sort of done one that way, one that way. That looks pretty good, so I'll put the purple one down first. So these stamps could be used just stamped onto card. You don't have to cut them out like I did for the inside, but if you do want to add a bit of layering and dimension and like put it on something like this that's embossed, then you can do it this way. So I'm going to tuck one under there. I will glue it. I'm just kind of working out positioning. One there, I don't know, there and there. Don't want it too busy, but hopefully, I think this is a little bit higher up than that card, but that's okay. Don't have to be perfectly the same. So we're gonna, might just tuck it in a little bit more, so just so there's not too much leaf showing. And then kind of put those in, oh no, like so. Now I've got to slide these two out to glue them in. There we go. And a bit of glue, so that's kind of more down here. And this one a little bit higher up. Glue that too. I don't know, we'll do there. Okay, nearly done. So the sentiments, I'm going to put below that ribbon. So that's what I did in Orchid Oasis. This time I'm going to use mini dimensionals, because then it, so 3 of them. 1, 2. So if you haven't watched my videos much before and you're thinking, why do you highlight your dimensionals? I'm sure some of you have watched for a while, may know. 1, they're really easy to find on the table because they're nice and bright, but that's not the main reason for doing it. It's because when you've stuck it on the back, you don't know if you've taken the back off. If you can see highlighted, then you know that you haven't removed it yet. Rather than kind of keep touching it and making it stick or lose its stickiness, you can just tell by looking if you've taken it off. All right, so to finish it off, looks like my dimensionals are sticking to my table. Okay, so what we're going to do is the inside. So I've got a piece here. So again, to match the front, I've got my 2 layers. So I did a yellow one inside that. So I think I stamped the yellow last, but I'm just going to clean it just to be doubly sure. I don't want to contaminate my ink pads. And I'm going to use my matte again, just to make it spongier. And do you remember which one I do first? Do we do this or do we do that? the detailed or the solid? We do the detail. Well, I find it easier anyway. Okay, and we have our, what do you call it? Scrap. So we're going to stamp that detailed one first. And what do we remember when we do this one? Before we stamp it on, we have to stamp off, get a lot of that colour out, and then like so. So you could, if you wanted, what's the word? Do leaves off the side. You could mask it. So to mask it, what we would do is we would stamp another one. Where's the sticky bit up the top? So let's kind of sticky it. And we don't actually need to mask off, but we will for the sake of it. Okay, so we're making this mask, and then we've got to cut it out. So where did I put my dies? I moved them, and now I can't find them. Here it is. No, that's not it. Oh, they with the machine? I should have prepared one of these earlier. My dies have disappeared. Here they are. No, I have them. Okay, so we're going to cut this one out like we did before, but it's a post-it note. So I'll bring my plates up again. That. So try and line that up a bit better. You could fussy cut it so it's really close, but we'll just do that. Put it through my machine. It really needs to be on the flat. I'll just do it back here. And I'll show you what we're going to do. Sorry, shaking the table slightly. Okay, so the reason I use a post-it note is because then it's a little bit sticky. You could use masking paper as well. But don't make it too sticky because you don't, whoops, crash bang. What I'm going to do is put that over the top. Now you can't see, I need to move up a bit, right? So that's covering my flower. Now I'm going to get my green. I'm just going to use this one and just stamp like this, slightly over the flower. Okay, but when I take it off, it now looks like it's behind. So I wasn't quite close enough, so there's a slight gap there, but you get the general idea. Okay, so that's kind of masking as well. So there's a bonus tip for you too. All right, so to finish it off, we are going to glue that here and then put it inside our card. So any questions? So have you tried two-step stamping before? Have you tried getting the two colours by stamping off from your ink pad? You can do it with quite a lot of things. These stamps also look great with sort of complementary but contrasting colours. So you might go for Orchid Oasis for the detail, and then you might do Highland Heather. Let's see if we can quickly try that just to see what it looks like. So you are actually using two ink pads. So we're going to quickly clean our ink pad again. So you definitely can use two ink pads, but if you're limited, this is one way you can do it. So we're going to use the darker colour for our detail so it stands out. It's slightly more blue when you do it like that. And then I'm not sure if we still want to go stamp off or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to do two, and then we'll decide. I need to move up a bit so you can see what you like. So that's, okay, so let's go with stamping off first. I think one's a bit, so we need to, I've done it angled, so like that. So that's the lighter purple. Yeah, I don't know if I quite lined it up. And then this is the darker. Being a bit more careful. Oh, that's probably too dark. But yeah, so you can see the contrasting colours. Maybe it's not the perfect combination, and that's definitely way too dark. But you can have a play around. maybe you'd use, I don't know, a Fruity Flamingo with a Blushing Bride that's quite light or something like that. But you can use 2 ink pads, or you can do what I did today, and you can use 1 ink pad for both. Great. Well, thank you for your comments, Helen. I appreciate that the great tip that I shared. Miriam, glad that you love the colour scheme. Yeah, I love purples. I was only just going to go with purple, but then I thought actually yellow looks quite nice. It's a little bit contrasting. I'll show you another couple of cards that I made. Same kind of idea, but slightly different, what do you call it, layout sort of thing. So my first card that I made was actually this one. It was inspired by one that I saw online that used lots of white in the background. They had different colour flowers and no ribbon, but I wanted to add those. But I mean, it's nice. I just thought, is it too white? Not sure. So tell me what you think. Do you like the white or do you like the coloured background? But, you know, there's different options on what you can do. The base is a thick basic white, and then just your standard for my embossing. And they're both with the cane weave. Now this one here obviously is a little bit more subtle with its background pattern because it's that time warp. And then completely different, well, kind of, the flowers on the front are the same. We've got this one here. So this one has got Balmy Blue and Highland Heather. So the flowers are the same. I've also used Soft Succulent because not these pages, but in the other papers on these pages were Soft Succulent. It was just a little bit lighter. And these are the Fancy Flora Designer Series paper, which are all part of this suite. And the background is actually a sketch that I did for my team. So we have a monthly challenge that we've started recently. And I created a sketch and then encourage everyone or those that want to make cards using it. And we use whatever colours, stamps we've got, and the creations can look quite different. So this was my example for it. And I used the Designer Series paper in the background and then a circle and the Balmy Blue too. So you can see this is the same set, but 3 quite different, well actually 4, if I don't know if I can fit them all in. Yes, maybe I can. 4 different cards. So we've got this one, which is the cane weave background. Oh, I forgot something. Can you see what this has got that this one hasn't? Some sparkle. How could I forget that? So once again, I am using my, what do you call it? Iridescent rhinestones. And usually I use my Take Your Pick tool, which I'm looking for, and I've put in a safe place, but it's not handy. So what I'm going to do, I've just found it. Here it is. No, here it is. Okay, so we'll add a bit of sparkle too. You don't have to, but I quite like to. There we go. We'll put a big one here. 3s are good. Odd numbers are good. Maybe a middle-sized one. I don't know. Here. There we go. So that one had sparkle on it too. Did you notice I missed that? Okay. So yeah, so you've got the coloured background. You've got the white background. You've got this one that's got Designer Series paper in the background. So that's using the two-tone Flora set. So this is a stamp set that's in the mini catalogue, and I believe it's carrying over into the annual catalogue. So the mini catalogue and the current annual catalogue finish on the 1st of May. So we've got less than a week left. So if there's anything in the current catalogues that you like, you may want to double check that they're carrying on, or make the most of the last chance products which finish next Monday, 1st of May. Some are discounted, not all, but some. And then after that, they're not available. Okay. Then on the 2nd of May, the new annual catalogue starts, and I've left mine in the other room, so I can't show you. Have I got it here? No, it's in the other room, sorry. So I can't show you a copy of the catalogue. If you are a customer of mine, you would, I sent some yesterday if you're around New Zealand. If you're local attending classes, then I'll be giving it to you in class. If you don't have a demonstrator and you'd like a copy of the catalogue, let me know and I can send you a copy. I'll share the link on this after the live. Wonderful. So thank you for your time today. I hope you're inspired by this particular, stamp set I'm using. You're inspired by two-step stamping. And even, what was the other thing I did? Stamping off and creating the two-tone. So a few techniques there. So thank you for your time today. Please ask any questions. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'd love you to like it and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to sharing with you again soon. Thanks for your time today, and see you again. Bye.